Third race weekend of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup at Winterberg, and unusually starting with the four-man. Switzerland's Michael Vogt showing in Heat 2 just how tricky this track can be. Everybody knows it, but it's still possible to crash. Our World Cup points leader Justin Cripps won both four-man races in North America at Lake Placid. Here in Germany though, beating the Germans to the podium is always a tough ask, and on a wet, rainy track, he did really well to push himself into the top 5. Just ahead of him after the first of our two heats was Oskars Kibamanis, Latvian in 4th position. He too improved in the second heat to the tune of nearly 7/10 of a second faster than his first, showing he could be a medal contender. 3 sleds remained, all of them German, all of them winners in the last 2 years on this track. Hansi Lochner won 2 years ago. He's in his regular Valna four-man sled, but mistakes early on in the run would cost him, slithering his way out of the top 3 potentially as he dropped behind the Latvian at the line by just 1/100th of a second. So Kibamanis was guaranteed a medal, but of what colour? Francesco Friedrich in a brand new FES-built four-man sled for the very first time, second after the first heat, 1400ths behind the leader. Could he produce a big run? The answer was yes, with searing speed to clearly take the lead with 1 to go. Last of the 22 sleds in the first heat, Nico Walter making his first four-man start of the season and starting his first ever race not in an FES sled but in a new Stamfer. He'd led the first heat but he couldn't hold the pace in Heat 2, dropping behind Francesco Friedrich, last year's Race 1 winner, taking the silver medal as Friedrich took gold. But a good start for Walter and his association with the Stamfer. Kibamanis on the podium in 3rd, but victory went to Francesco Friedrich. Friedrich closes down points leader Justin Cripps as they head into tomorrow's second four-man encounter. A misty Saturday morning, and the action started with the women's race. Second heat saw Russia's Nadezhda Sergeyeva, 8th place after the first run down the track, improve her performance. A good start from her and her brakewoman, and a really smooth drive from the Russian. She put herself into a firm lead, a lead that she would still hold as the final 4 sleds came to the ice. Kaylee Humphries for America getting hooked up in her BMW sled, struggling to get in before the first corner. It wasn't that caused her not to make the medals, but she just came up shy. This is not a track that Humphries has often fared well on. She'd be in the lead with 3 to go. Top 3 sleds, all German. Mariam Jumanka has never won here in Winterberg, but she had a great chance with just 800ths covering the top 3 as they got into the final run. Jumanka was smooth as silk down the bottom of the track, a flying run from the world and Olympic champion to put her firmly in the lead with 2 to go. Second after the first heat, Lara Nolter, the World Cup rookie, making her first start here on her home track in Winterberg. Deborah Levy only in her 4th bobsleigh race behind her. Nolter dropped behind Jumanka early on and couldn't find enough pace down at the bottom, even on a track she knows well, to rein in the Olympic champion. 900ths behind in 2nd place. Disappointed to lose a spot, but she'd still be in the medals. Final sled on ice, Stephanie Schneider. 2 wins on this track in the last 2 seasons, and Schneider made it look hard work. Losing time in the labyrinth, she had to shortcut the final corner, diving for the line and risking the roll for victory. The winning margin just 400ths of a second as she claims a hat-trick of wins here in Winterberg, ahead of teammates Jumanka and Nolter, an all-German podium sweep. Kaylee Humphries is still the World Cup points leader. Stephanie Schneider and Mariama Jumanka are closing fast. Saturday afternoon's four-man race was also the European Championships. Ryo Shinohara of Japan, 3rd off in the first heat, showing that any ice track is able to catch out the unwary. Zigging where he should have zagged in the labyrinth, he crashed, his team were okay. Patrick Baumgartner late on in the run, the young Italian, also crashing out, but he would make it through into the second heat. Top 5 in the second heat, Yesterday's bronze medalist Oskars Kibamanis only 5th place after the first run, A decent start from the Latvian, but just didn't seem to have pace on the damp track in the rain in Saturday's encounter, and would hold his position. Alexei Stulnev looking for his best career result in Winterberg after 5th yesterday, looking to go one better. 4th after the first heat, dropped early on behind Kubermanis, but found pace later in the run to put the Russian sled in front. The final 3 sleds were all German. Nico Walter had led after the first heat yesterday, finished in the silver medal position. He was 3rd after heat 1 on Saturday, and that's where he would stay. He had just enough to stay in front of Alexei Stulnev and guarantee himself a podium finish, with Stulnev in 2nd and 2 to go. Second after the first run, Johannes Lochner. He dropped out of 3rd on Friday's first encounter, down to 4th position, despite a wild run through the labyrinth on both runs and nearly crashing at the end of the first. He still produced great speed at the bottom of the Winterberg track. A wild ride, but a fast one to put the medals in doubt. He led with 1 to go. Last sled on the ice was yesterday's race winner, Francesco Friedrich. He won the 2nd of a double 4-man weekend last season, chasing a hat-trick here. 1500s in hand from the first heat, but mistakes early on would catch up with him. Out of the labyrinth, he was in the red. Could he make it pay at the line? It was close, but not close enough. Lochner taking victory and the European Championship. Friedrich in the silver medal position. Nico Walter completing the German clean sweep of the podium. Francesco Friedrich now leads the 4-man World Cup rankings. Johannes Lochner the overall World Cup rankings after 4 races. Johannes Lochner is the European champion, ahead of Francesco Friedrich and Nico Walter. They head next to La Plagne in France. Sunday morning dawned misty and drizzly, but unusually for Winterberg, Sunday was skeleton day. As ever in Winterberg, a tightly packed field, and from Felix Kaisinger's 6th after the first heat, just a 10th of a second went up to the silver medal position. A chance for the Germans to earn some medals. The young junior world champion from Viesturs put himself into the lead over Alexander Tretyakov of Russia. Next up was Axel Jung. He's had 2 silver medals on this track in the last 4 seasons. Could he do it again? First, he'd have to beat his teammate. He got into the lead by the Kreisel, a lead he was not to surrender. Easing away from Kaisinger in the lower part of the track to move 1 step closer. Jung wasn't the top German slider in Heat 1 though, that was Alexander Gassner, the local boy from the Winterberg BSC Bob Club. He was in 4th place, just 200ths off the bronze medal, only 6 off silver. And after his run, 300ths ahead of Jung, he led the German trio. 3 sleds to go. Martin Stukors of Latvia is not in the habit of giving away medals. He's won 9 times on this track. He's had 4 other finishes in the medals in the last 13 years. But this year, like last, he would not be on the podium, dropping behind, with the final sled on ice being that of Sun Bin Jung. Jung, the winner here 2 seasons ago, winless so far this year, 1900s in front after the first heat, but a catalogue of tiny little disasters all the way down the track just robbed him of almost all of that advantage. He took gold by just 500ths of a second, with silver medal going to Alexander Gassner and the bronze to Axel Jung. Jung now heads the points lead from Martin Stukors and Alexander Tretyakov as Jung scores his first win of the season. The crowd stayed for the final race of the day, the women's skeleton. Marina Gilardoni on a frosty day using the power of her former bobsleigh career to blast away from the start. 5th fastest after the first of the 2 heats. Another good run down the track would see the Swiss in the leader's box with 4 to go. Another strong starter is Canada's Mimi Reneva. She's had 3 career wins, none on this track, but with a blinding second run, quicker than anybody had managed even in the first heat, she put herself into solid medal contention. Pressure on the top three from Relive's run. Janine Flock, bronze medalist on this track last year, in the bronze medal position after the first heat. She doesn't start as quick as the Canadian, but she normally finds pace at the bottom of the track. Today, though, despite high speed at the bottom, it was too little, too late. Relive was in the medals. 2 to go, and both German, both former winners on this track. Jacqueline Lerling has won the last 2 races, and she was looking for a third straight, but dropping just too far behind. Even the World Cup leader's knowledge of the track wasn't enough. Relive still led with just 1 sled remaining. Could the Canadian do it? Tina Hermann hasn't won here for 4 years, but the veteran of German ice sliding just had enough in the tank. Not starting as quick, but finding pace in the final corners to make it a close battle. The men's race was won by 500ths, the women's by less than that. Just 300ths of a second at the line, the margin of victory. Mimi Relive taking the silver medal, the victory though going to Tina Hermann. Janine Flock, bronze again. Jacqueline Lerling off the podium for the first time since she started her race career here in 2015, but she is still the World Cup points leader.